the United States and Canada. Two nations, joined at the hip by geography, history, and a shared border that's longer than any other in the world. For decades, this relationship has been defined by close economic ties. Trade between the two countries has flowed freely, like maple syrup on a stack of pancakes. But recently, a chill has settled over this once cozy partnership. The culprit? Tariffs. These aren't your grandpappy's tariffs either. We're talking about hefty levies on everything from steel and aluminum to those little wooden toys shaped like moose that tourists buy ironically. The Trump administration, in its infinite wisdom, decided to slap these tariffs on Canadian goods, citing national security concerns. Because nothing says threat to national security like a hockey stick made in Saskatchewan, Canada understandably was not thrilled. Being on the receiving end of tariffs from your biggest trading partner is a bit like finding out your friendly neighbor has been secretly siphoning gas from your car. It's not a good look. And so began a tit-for-tat trade war, with Canada retaliating with its own set of tariffs on American goods. The situation has left many wondering, what does the future hold for the US-Canada trade relationship? Will these two North American neighbors be able to patch things up? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a frosty new era? Buckle up, Buttercup, because things are about to get interesting. The trade tensions between the US and Canada didn't erupt overnight. They've been simmering for years, fueled by a potent cocktail of protectionist policies, political posturing, and a hefty dose of good old-fashioned economic anxiety. The first shots were fired, metaphorically speaking, back in 2018 when the Trump administration imposed tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. The rationale? National security, of course, because apparently the Canadian military was planning a hostile takeover of Pittsburgh using only hockey sticks and Tim Hortons donuts. Canada, understandably, called shenanigans. The Canadian government argued that these tariffs were not only unjustified, but also harmful to both economies. After all, Canada is the United States' largest supplier of steel and aluminum. Imposing tariffs on these imports would only drive up costs for American businesses and consumers. But the Trump administration, never one to back down from a trade war, doubled down. They slapped tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber, claiming that Canadian producers were unfairly subsidized. Then came tariffs on solar panels, washing machines, and even those adorable baby seal hats that tourists can't resist. Canada, for its part, refused to take these tariffs lying down. The Canadian government responded with retaliatory tariffs on a range of American goods, from ketchup and mayonnaise to bourbon and playing cards. The message was clear: two can play at this game, buddy. Faced with a trade war with its southern neighbor, Canada has begun to look elsewhere for economic opportunities. Specifically, Canada has been strengthening its ties with China, much to the chagrin of some American policymakers. China, with its massive population and growing economy, represents a tantalizing market for Canadian goods. And Canada, with its abundant natural resources and reputation for high-quality products, has much to offer China. The two countries have already signed a number of trade deals in recent years, covering everything from agricultural products to energy. And there are rumors of even more deals in the works, including a possible free trade agreement. This burgeoning relationship has not gone unnoticed in Washington. Some American officials have expressed concern that Canada's pivot towards China could undermine American economic interests. They argue that Canada should be focusing on strengthening its trade ties with the United States, not cozying up to a strategic rival. But Canada has made it clear that it will not be dictated to by the United States. The Canadian government has stated that it will pursue trade relationships with any country that is willing to play by the rules, regardless of their political system. The Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project has become a symbol of Canada's determination to diversify its energy exports. The pipeline, which carries crude oil from Alberta to the coast of British Columbia, is seen as crucial to Canada's ability to reach new markets in Asia, particularly China. The project has been met with fierce opposition from environmental groups and some indigenous communities, who argue that it poses unacceptable risks to the environment and their traditional way of life. But the Canadian government has defended the project, arguing that it is in the national interest. The Trans Mountain Pipeline is a key piece of Canada's energy strategy. Canada is home to the world's third-largest proven oil reserves, but most of its oil is currently exported to the United States. The Trans Mountain Pipeline would give Canada a much-needed alternative to the American market, allowing it to sell its oil to other countries at potentially higher prices. The expansion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline is a clear signal that Canada is serious about diversifying its energy exports. The project is expected to be completed in 2023, and when it is, it will give Canada a new route to market for its oil, reducing its reliance on the United States. The allure of the European Union. While China may be the shiny new object in Canada's trade portfolio, the European Union remains an important and reliable partner. The EU is Canada's second-largest trading partner, after the United States, and the two economies are deeply integrated. In 2017, Canada and the EU signed the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, or CETA, a landmark deal that eliminates tariffs on most goods traded between the two economies. CETA also makes it easier for Canadian businesses to invest in Europe and vice versa. The EU offers Canada a number of advantages as a trading partner. First, the EU is a large and wealthy market, with a population of over 500 million people. Second, the EU has a strong commitment to free trade and open markets. And third, the EU is a politically stable and predictable partner, which is important for businesses looking to make long-term investments. Canada's relationship with the EU is not without its challenges. There are some areas of disagreement, such as over agriculture and fisheries, and the EU is a complex and bureaucratic organization, which can be frustrating for Canadian businesses trying to navigate its rules and regulations. Global ripples. The wider impact on trade and energy. The trade tensions between the United States and Canada are having ripple effects around the world. Other countries are watching closely to see how the situation unfolds, and some are already taking steps to adjust their own trade policies in response. The trade war has also contributed to uncertainty in global energy markets. Canada is a major oil producer, and the tariffs imposed by the United States have made Canadian oil more expensive for American refiners. This has led to higher gasoline prices for American consumers, and has also created opportunities for other oil producers, such as Russia and Saudi Arabia. The trade dispute between the United States and Canada is just one example of the growing trend of protectionism around the world. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of tariffs and other trade barriers as countries seek to protect their own industries from foreign competition. This trend is worrisome because it threatens to undermine the global trading system, which has been a major driver of economic growth and prosperity for decades. The Canadian perspective: a nation responds. Canada's response to the trade tensions with the United States has been a mix of defiance and pragmatism. The Canadian government has made it clear that it will not be bullied by the United States, and will stand up for its own interests. At the same time, Canada has also sought to maintain a constructive dialogue with the United States, and to find ways to resolve the dispute. The trade war has had a significant impact on the Canadian economy. The tariffs imposed by the United States have hurt Canadian businesses, particularly those in the steel, aluminum, and agriculture sectors. The uncertainty created by the trade war has also led to a decline in business investment. The trade war has also had a political impact in Canada. The dispute has tested the relationship between the two countries, and it has also exposed divisions within Canada about how to respond to the United States. Some Canadians believe that Canada should take a more confrontational approach with the United States, while others believe that Canada should try to maintain a more cooperative relationship. Future uncertain: navigating the crossroads. The future of the United States-Canada trade relationship is uncertain. The trade tensions that have emerged in recent years have strained the relationship between the two countries, and it is unclear whether or how these tensions will be resolved. There are a number of factors that will shape the future of the United States-Canada trade relationship. One factor is the outcome of the ongoing trade negotiations between the two countries. Another factor is the political climate in both countries. And a third factor is the global economic environment. The trade tensions between the United States and Canada are a reminder that even the closest of allies can have disagreements over trade. These disagreements can be difficult to resolve, and they can have a significant impact on the economies of both countries. Conclusion: a new trade order. The trade tensions between the United States and Canada are a microcosm of the larger shifts taking place in the global economy. The old order, characterized by American dominance and a rules-based trading system, is giving way to a new, more uncertain era. In this new era, traditional alliances are being tested, and countries are increasingly looking out for their own interests. The United States, under the Trump administration, has embraced protectionist policies, alienating some of its closest allies, including Canada. Canada, for its part, is adapting to this new reality. While remaining committed to free trade, Canada is also diversifying its trading partners and strengthening its ties with countries like China and those in the European Union. The future of the global trading system hangs in the balance. If the United States continues down a path of protectionism, it risks triggering a global trade war that would have devastating consequences for all involved. However, if the United States can find a way to work with its allies, including Canada, to reform the global trading system, there is still hope for a more prosperous and interconnected future.